things in the world. With a resounding round of applause, please join me in welcome to the platform, Jerad Cohen.
Thank you, Pastor Poju. Everybody, Ekaro Lagos. I can't stand up here and not do that. In the last 2 years, I've been to Nigeria 4 times. My first trip to Nigeria began at platform, I forget which .0 it was, but some previous platform. And there's a reason why I keep coming back. And I just wanted to take a moment, especially given celebration of independence and looking out in the audience at all you wonderful people. I wanted to let you know what, to me as an American, I find so special and unique about Nigeria. The first is I have never encountered a place with this level of entrepreneurial spirit. I really mean that. Somehow in a country of 170 million people, you seem to have about 250 million entrepreneurs, and growing. Another thing that I absolutely love and admire about your country is the positive energy and the optimism that so many people feel from the youngest to the oldest. It doesn't matter what challenge is on the horizon, it doesn't matter what is happening on that particular day. I consistently experience and feel positive energy every time that I come to this country and every time I meet somebody from Nigeria in my own country. It's inspiring to be around. It makes you want to keep coming back. It makes you want to sort of replace a lot of your more pessimistic friends with optimistic Nigerian friends. The third is there's something about Nigerian culture that lends itself to what is truly, in my opinion, some of the most magnificent art and music and culture. And where's the woman who sang the beautiful national anthem? Right there. Amazing. I invite you to the U.S. for our Independence Day. Can you please sing our national anthem? That was beautiful. But everything from the music to the art to the handicrafts to the poetry, I mean, this is a culture just replete with just tremendous artistic and cultural achievement. And then the fourth is there's an energy that exists that just makes you excited about being here. It's the kind of thing that makes me stand on stage in front of all of you and want to yell Ekaro Lagos. So with that said, I'm so pleased to be back here. Pastor Poju, it's great to see you again, and it's an honor and privilege to be here with all of you. I'm going to talk to you today about the technological revolution and how technology, as it spreads throughout the world, is transforming our understanding of who we are as people, the states that govern us, and what all of this means for the future of business. But before I talk about the future, I think it's important to begin with a charming and interesting quote. And I'm going to give you a quote from an obscure American inventor named Charles Kettering, who nobody will have heard of, except you'll appreciate him because we can give him partial credit for inventing the air conditioner. And I say that as I listen to the air conditioners behind me. And he once remarked that we should all be concerned about the future because we're going to have to spend the rest of our lives there. Now, what I love about this quote, in addition to it being charming, is the future is so difficult to predict. I mean, how many of us have tried to go to a psychic or somebody that can tell us what the winning lottery numbers are or sort of what the future has in store for us? But what's amazing about the future is one of the best bets that you can make. One of the things that we know for sure is that technology is going to be central to every aspect of our lives, every aspect of our children's lives. It is going to be a defining element of what happens next. So we need to double down on it. We need to understand the impact that technology has had today so that way we understand the impact technology will have tomorrow. Now, what's interesting about this technological revolution that distinguishes it from past revolutions, the printing press, the television, the fax machine, the landline, is that in today's technological revolution, anybody has the opportunity to own, develop, or disseminate content without having to rely on an intermediary. So what we see today is the most individually empowered generation in history. And that empowerment is only going to be exponentially growing over time. So go back to what I said about at the beginning, that there's 250 million entrepreneurs in a country of 170 million entrepreneurs. If everybody gets more empowered in the future, what do you think that means for the future of this country? It will be an extraordinary story. Now, if you think about the technological revolution and the euphoria that we all feel about our devices and our gadgets and what these tools will bring to us, most of the conversation centers around access and speed and price points and what the sort of latest gadget is. And people will tell you that in the last 10 years we've gone from 361 million users of the internet to 2.4 billion. They'll tell you that we've gone from 907 million mobile subscribers worldwide to over 6 billion mobile phones in circulation. They'll tell you that there's 100 hours of YouTube, 100 million hours of YouTube uploaded every single minute, that there's over 6 billion hours of YouTube footage watched every single month. They'll tell you that there's more SMSs and text messages sent every single day than the entire population of Earth. They'll tell you that a country like Russia or a country like Tunisia has 350% mobile penetration because the average citizen has somewhere between 2 and 5 SIM cards. They'll tell you story after story about how fast this access is happening and wow you with amazing statistics. And for those that get lost in the numbers, people might try a different avenue. They'll tell you that in the age-old battle, see if I can get this to work. There we go. They'll tell you that in the age-old battle between sanitation and communication, communication wins. And let me illustrate this with one point. There are only 4.2 billion toothbrushes on Earth. How much is a toothbrush? Not very much. But despite the fact that there's only 4.2 billion toothbrushes, somehow there seems to be over 6 billion mobile devices. They are much more expensive than toothbrushes. So clearly, all we can conclude is people care more about sanitation, or care more about communications than they do sanitation. In India, there are more mobile phones in circulation than there are outhouses in the entire country. India is over 1 billion people. And my favorite story, in the Central African Republic, the DNS administrator, so literally the guy who keeps the internet going, during the day is an OBGYN. At night, he runs the entire internet for the Central African Republic on a Dell computer that he keeps underneath his desk. Imagine that. OBGYNs gone DNS administrators. We have truly begun to embark on an increasingly connected world. Now, why do I tell you all of these statistics and fun facts and figures? Why do I reiterate what we already know is discussed as part of this technological revolution? I do it to tell you that despite the wowing nature and power of these numbers, they mean very little in terms of capturing the essence of what is happening today and what is about to happen. To talk about speed and access and gadgetry, it completely undersells the impact that technology will have on our lives, our businesses, and our states. And to give you a sense of what I mean, I'd like to pull another quote from one of my favorite American directors. How many of you have heard of Woody Allen? By show of hands. Some of you. For those of you who haven't, he's sort of a quirky, complicated, scandal-ridden American director who makes great movies, but whose personal life is sort of a mess. But he said one of my other favorite quotes, which is, 80% of life is showing up. Now, he was talking about success, but I think there's something meaningful and prescriptive about that. Because for all of the data and statistics around access and connectivity, unless you are willing to show up and meet people and see firsthand how this technology is having an impact in ways that are difficult to explain, you can't begin to claim you have any understanding of the technological revolution. Now, I first experienced this myself in 2004 and 2005 when I moved to the Islamic Republic of Iran. Now that might sound like a strange thing for a nice, Jewish kid from New York to do, to go hang out in the Islamic Republic of Iran. But nonetheless, I went to interview opposition leaders and reformists and dissidents. And along the way, I encountered something remarkable. And in every talk that I give, I tell this story, because until I went to Iran and experienced firsthand the ways that technology shocked even somebody like me that thought I understood it, I didn't begin to understand what was about to happen. And I was in a busy marketplace in the southern Iranian city of Shiraz, and I saw about 20 different young people all tapping away on their phones. And I asked one of them, I said, "What are you doing?" He said, "I'm using Bluetooth." I said, "Well, where is your earpiece?" Now, how many of you, by show of hands, when you think of Bluetooth, think of that creepy device that allows you to talk and drive at the same time, or walk around talking to yourself while everybody around you thinks you're crazy? I'm certainly one of those people. But I didn't recognize their earpiece, so I thought maybe they described Bluetooth as something completely different. And so I asked this young man to show me what he meant. And he showed me how he used Bluetooth to call and text complete strangers who were standing within 30 feet of him. And at this point, I talked to several other young people, and a number of them were trying to figure out where the party was that night. One of them was recruiting a new bassist for his band. One of them was selling illegal playing cards, and several of the young men were trying to score a date for the night. Now, when we think about Bluetooth, we imagine it as our device talking to an earpiece for convenience. But in Iran, where people can't assemble freely, where they can't speak freely, where they don't have the civil liberties that people in places like Nigeria and the United States have, all of a sudden it starts to make sense to call and text complete strangers, which in a democratic society would be viewed as quite creepy, and you would never do it. So I'm talking to these young people, and they've gathered around at this point, and I said to all of them, "You're all using Bluetooth to organize to do illegal things out in the open. Aren't you worried about getting caught?" And they said to me, "Don't worry, nobody in Iran over 30 has any idea what Bluetooth is." And it dawned on me that nobody in America has any idea what Bluetooth is. Now, what's interesting is when I went back to the US and I talked to the people who invented Bluetooth, they were shocked by this story. They said, "We had no idea that it could be used for this." Now imagine this. Some of the smartest engineers in the entire world admitting that the Iranian people had figured out a use case for a technology that they thought they were building to solve the problem of talking and driving at the same time. And what you realize is, as smart as an engineer in a democratic society is, even they cannot begin to imagine how people faced with completely different problems will come up with new and innovative ways to use their technology. And that's why I like to say, in the 21st century, we're going to see surprise after surprise. As more technology gets produced, more people in challenged environments will really tell the engineers exactly how to use it. And I was sort of reflecting on this, and it occurred to me, every year I get a new mobile device. I assume I'm going to get an upgrade. I never read the instructions manual, and I probably use about 10% of my phone's functions. Because for me, at the end of the day, I can't imagine living without it, but it really is a luxury that facilitates the basic civil liberties that I already have. But then think about all of the societies living under censorship, totalitarianism, and autocracy. You give them